Hey, what's up guys? It's me, Buzz here, and I am back with yet another episode of this great game, Love, Money, and Rock and Roll, homie. So last time, we were actually out and trying to figure out what our past is about, what everything, like our parents, what did they get killed for? We were out talking to Ichinosa-san, we tried talking to Michael, and so on. We found out that Catherine, mom, had something to do with it. So let's continue and see what the fuck's going on, bro. Sometimes a dream is just a dream. In this case, however, it was a deceased retrospective on recent events. I was chasing Catherine while she was running away, yet constantly turning around, smiling, waving at me, and shouting something. Her words were carried away by the wind, and only her eyes shone and lips moved in a silent labor. Nico-kun! Nico-kun! I started to hear it behind me. Nico-kun! The voice becoming clearer. Himitsu was chasing me. She didn't look angry, but rather sad and weary. Where was I running? After or from? Who? In a dream, you move easily, effortlessly, as if floating, immediately gaining unprecedented speed without getting strained or tired. As if standing on an escalator as it rushes ahead. It takes you up or brings you down, depending on the point of view. Okay. I opened my eyes and immediately realized it was early in the morning. This happens sometimes. You don't need to glance at the clock or look outside. Your own body gives you a signal that it has yet to fully recover. The heavy head, the puffy eyes, the dry horrors. I knew these symptoms all too well, except I haven't been drinking yesterday. I got the feeling that sleeping the rest of the time I had left wasn't the best idea. The Catherine from the dream seemed to have stopped, and I finally managed to hear what she was shouting. We shouldn't meet at all. Have met at all. Have met. I rolled to the other side. The KGB, the Japanese, the project, Kobayashi Corporation, even my parents' death. If all that hadn't happened, Catherine would still remain in my life. Moreover, it would have remained, even had she not returned to Japan. If not in my life, then my heart. If not my heart, then in the neurons of my brain and internal glands. The mechanisms of romantic love might be of interest to an outside observer, a scientist looking at the problem as a matter of human psychology. But a man sick with smallpox would be more interested in how he managed to catch it so late into the 20th century than its pathomechanisms. I guess you're right about that one. A cup of hot tea woke me up. I seem to recall that this pack hadn't been here before. Could Himitsu have brought it? Himitsu. She was about to come to wake me up. How surprised she'd be to see, except I didn't want her to see me at all. Not today, not right now. Perhaps yesterday had gone a bit better than I could have expected. Perhaps I had a reason to hope that my life would get better, at least in some respects. But now I'd woken up and it started all over again. You can't see me like this. I was absolutely positive she would realize everything right away. I felt naked with feelings exposed, defenseless before the outside world. And so I ran. I left the house and simply walked wherever my feet would take me. My pace wasn't particularly fast, but not slow either. I watched the road and traffic lights, even avoided running into people. But it was all done on autopilot. My mind was elsewhere. Maybe in the dream where I was chasing Catherine. Chasing with full understanding that I would never catch her. Life can be a strange thing. Had you lived just a couple kilometers away from here, I could just go and ring her doorbell. Even if it was still too early and she was asleep. I could scale the fire escape and climb into her window. And then I could tell her everything I wanted to say. with beautiful words, elegant phrases, genuinely and passionately. And she would listen to me and understand and forgive me. What the hell? Why should I feel guilty about her? I whispered quietly. So I thought. You'll be fine before the wedding, said an old woman. Famous night coming from some old lady as she deftly slipped under my arm, stumbled away startled and picked up my pace. Soon I found myself in the park. It had been a while since last came here. I used to go here with Katja. She used to say this was the only place in the city where we could be alone. Or maybe she didn't, and I just assumed that's what she thought. Catherine never liked to publicly show her feelings. And sometimes it even seemed like she was embarrassed that someone would see us together. The park itself was more or less a classical Japanese garden. I always thought that in a way nature was the same everywhere. Here Earth had different climates. Some trees would grow on one continent but completely refuse to take root on another. But in general, it was the same vegetation, same soil, same murmuring streams. Maybe that was because we rarely perceive nature as something discrete. We may often think about the age of a particular tree, but no one counts the blades of a grass in the meadow of the grains of sand at a beach. Neither is a plucked flower perceived by us as the end of the separate biological entity. It's just a process. It will wither, rot, and turn into something new. I walked into a favorite gazebo and sat down on a bench. Rare yellowish leaves floated back and forth on the small island. Island? Did it say island? Lake. Why did I see that as island? Here in the forest, you could say, the arrival of autumn wasn't as apparent, even though the temperature was a couple of degrees lower than in the city. And probably still wasn't used to summer-like warmth in the middle of September. What was the weather then, I wondered? It had been 2 years. 2 years, is that a lot for plants? What about century-old oaks? What about me? I sank into my memories. Who the fuck is that? No. I keep forgetting. Yeah, not anyone I recognize. My first summer in high school had ended. To be honest, I no longer remembered what I felt, but spiteful at the time. Only that I was simpler, more naive. It was a normal school day. Fundamentally, our high school differed from middle counterpart only in the name and was located on the same grounds. I knew many of the students. We had been in the same class before. Besides, my good chubby friend Kyosuke was sitting next to me. Don't you think it's weird we ended up in the same class however many times now?
Are you implying that it's not a coincidence?
He made one of the grins that particularly screamed, "Come on, ask me what I mean." I'm just stating a fact, because if I thought you arranged it somehow, I'd start to feel weird, scared even.
Why me exactly?
Who else could it be? He huffed, stumbled, something in response. I think we got a nice class here. I looked around the classroom, but my eyes didn't linger on anyone in particular. Probably because I didn't have any particular ties to any of them.
Why do you think about?
What do you think about? What the fuck? Wow, I can't read today. He moved closer to me and whispered.
The girls?
Well, I don't really know. I'd lie if I said I didn't think about it. Any normal guy my age does. But thoughts were where it ended. It was hard for me to even imagine myself next to someone other than Himitsu. Even though I didn't think about her that way either.
If you were to rank them, who'd get first place?
Ratings are your thing. Piss off. I cracked back in good nature.
You're obviously hiding something.
Why would I be hiding something?
Fine, I'll start then. What do you think about?
He raised his finger and started to run it around the classroom as if choosing a toy in a shop's window. Yeah, you didn't expect that sound, huh?
Winter's son, let's say.
Now he sounds more old. What the fuck did I do to his voice? Catherine was sitting behind the front desk, her back turned to us. Her long hair lay so smoothly that it resembled a frozen waterfall. Although coldness was also inherent to her character. At least, that's how it seemed to me. I don't really know. I absolutely did know. If I were to answer Kyosuke's question seriously, which I never would, Catherine Winters would be at the top of my list.
Why? You're both foreigners.
Why?
You're both foreigners. No, it doesn't matter that one is from a USSR and another from America, which is enemies, like arch enemies. There's no one that hates each other more besides Denmark and Sweden.
I'm joking, calm down. Sweden. Don't you think that's a bit chauvinistic?
What?
I said the last word in English because I read it in some sci-fi novel and simply didn't know how to say it in Japanese. Okay, I guess. Apparently, the vocabulary of heroes in Kyosuke's manga was a bit poorer. I don't know what's just... Okay, I don't know. I'm calling you a dickweed.
You do realize your reaction is a little suspicious.
Fine. What do you want to hear?
Rate her out of 10.
Let's say 7.
So low?
He flung his arms up disappointedly. What? Should I give a 10 to each and every one of them? Having a top score wouldn't mean shit then. We're not in first grade where everyone gets A's in art class.
I didn't get any A's.
You're a different story. I'm talking about normal people.
Oh, is that so? Should I pass your score over to Mrs. Winters then?
He stood up from the chair and theatrically slowly. What are you doing? Calm down and sit. Of course, I didn't believe that Kyosuke really intended to do that. First and foremost, I didn't believe he had the courage.
Scared her?
I'm not really. Just why?
Let's call it putting your personal life in order. Otherwise, you'll be alone forever.
Look who's talking. Also, did you think to ask for her opinion first?
Well, you are quite the guy. The cock of the walk.
He grinned and finally sat back down. Why do I have such a difficult time doing Kyosuke's voice? I don't know. When you're the one saying that, it just sounds wrong. We laughed together. He seems like a nice dude though. The lessons ended, and I was on my way home with Himitsu. I couldn't get Kyosuke's classmate ranking out of my head. Or at least the rank of my classmate, Catherine Winters. I had paid attention to her before. Maybe it's actually was because she wasn't Japanese, but more likely because she was beautiful, elegant, clever, and possessed a kind of mysterious charm. At the time I didn't realize that she was simply more mature and feminine than the other girls. And in some sense, Kyosuke was right. I was hiding. Even if just for myself that I liked Catherine. Which is quite easy to do if you don't think about a girl in the context of a relationship. We talk about the beauty of actresses on TV screens, but few people actually fall in love with them. It's another matter with the actress as your classmate. That makes her way more human, in a sense, and also available. Not just a 2D picture, but a real girl you can at the very least talk to. Listen, do you look like anyone in your class? I asked Himitsu, continuing to blow up my fudge aloud. But to her this question was completely unexpected. Wait, where did she come from? Do you like anyone? Anyone? I thought it was look. I'm a retard. I was like, that didn't really make sense.
Listen, do you like anyone in your class? Yes, it makes sense now. Wow, I'm a retard.
Like? What do you mean? Oh, this is Look Back 2, isn't it? She has a different uniform on, for example. Is this maybe... I don't know. Well, any of the guys. Oh, she's probably not in high school then. She might be in... What is it called? Fuck, we don't have all this shit. Like, we have ground school here. Then we have high school. And then university, right? 0 to 9th grade. 10. Sometimes you can take 10th grade too, right? And then you go to high school. So yeah, this is weird. Why do you ask, Nico-kun? Just talk with Kyosuke over break. New class, new school, you know.
So, do you like someone?
At the time, I didn't even think about Himitsu's feeling. Didn't think the conversation might be unpleasant for her. I was just talking about a normal school day with a friend. I don't really know. I grinned stupidly, scratched the back of my head, and turned away to hide my embarrassment.
Nico-kun,
Himitsu said angrily.
You wouldn't have brought this up for no reason.
Alright, my bad. There may be a certain American.
American, huh?
Himitsu drawled. Or Himitsu.
Is she pretty?
What do you think?
Well, she's certainly not going to like you.
Thank you, Himitsu. That's, Thank you. Giving me a reality check and shit. Why is that? I asked with indignation.
Because you're lazy, rude, and insensitive, also sloppy and scruffy, I imagine. If she saw what goes on in your room.
Hey, wait. What you just described was an American. I think she'll like that then. Bruh. Okay. Himitsu said all this in good nature, but a word still got to me. Why, thank you for the compliments.
But that's the truth. You can't be offended by the truth.
Tell that to... Yeah, I'm just gonna stop here. Truth. Yeah, right. I grumbled.
In all seriousness, though.
Himitsu said a little later, her voice now completely different.
What do you think about that girl?
I don't think anything yet.
Are you just gonna watch from a distance and do nothing?
I don't know.
That's not right. I think you'd like someone. You should tell them.
Would you?
Me? We're talking about you right now.
Maybe I will. Bruh. But I asked first. And I didn't even get a fucking answer. But time passed and it became obvious that I had to do something. I thought of Catherine more and more often, and the thoughts were starting to become frankly obtrusive. But at first, even approaching her seemed like an impossible task to me, so inaccessible she appeared. Besides, Catherine's barely talked to our other classmates either. At first, I thought it was just due to her personality, but sometimes things would just get simply ridiculous. One time, working in the pier, she went an entire lesson without saying a word. Proudly with her head held high and a sense of dignity to her, just like a real lady. But still silently. And she'd ended up with an F. It would be one thing, if that was all there was to it. But it was an English lesson. The American not saying a single word in an English lesson. Yeah, that sounds very American. It was hard to doubt Catherine's knowledge of it. What a school and a social institution where both the result and the method matter. You could solve math problems with a calculator, but you wouldn't get an A for it. In the end, Katja turned up her nose and left the class. I felt like it was my chance, and complaining about terrible stomachache to the teacher went after her. Giving an F to a native is messed up. That's exactly why I don't take Russian. I caught up to her on the staircase and awkwardly tried to start a conversation. Catherine just gave me a look of distrust and said, "Yeah." Her Japanese grades weren't exactly amazing either, to say the least. And thus finally I found Catherine Winter's sweet spot. At lunch, I approached her, smiled, and started to speak in Japanese as legible as I could manage. Hi, sorry for saying this out of the blue, but I noticed you were having a hard time with Japanese. Mind if I help? My name's Nikolai, by the way. Wait, when? Ah. She raised her surprised eyes at me and answered coldly.
Thank you, but I'm fine.
Really? I mean, I understand that it's really stressful to end up in a foreign country and a new school too. It's just, I've just been living in Japan for a while now.
I'm fine.
She interrupted me in the same tone. Ah, nice little drink. You know, the language matters the most. The faster you learn it, the faster you'll adapt. Catherine's look robbed me of all resolve to continue. Oh no. From the first moment of her acquaintance, Mrs. Winter made it clear that she only saw me as yet another annoying classmate. She wasn't any good at making friends, and I wondered more and more often if her lack of Japanese skill really was the reason for it. However, besides disappointment, I was also overflowing with enthusiasm, a desire to get my way at all costs. One day in the canteen, I unceremoniously sat across from Catherine without an invitation. A bon appetit. She didn't respond and even seemed to pretend I wasn't there. I just wanted to say, I know we got off on the wrong foot. My bad. I shouldn't have imposed myself.
It's not your fault.
Catherine immediately switched to English.
I just don't need help with Japanese. My knowledge is quite sufficient to survive the next 3 years here.
You really hate it here that much? I responded in English as well in anticipation of her reaction. Catherine didn't even bat an eye.
How do I put it?
It seemed like I had been reading too much of Kyosuke's manga. Why did I even think she thought that I didn't know English? In any case, now she was much friendlier than the first time. At least by her standards. You know, at first I was really afraid of this new country. Everything was so big. Although I had it easier, of course. Being a child and all. Continuing to demonstrate her utter lack of interest, Catherine finally joined the conversation.
How old were you?
7. Can you imagine? I said enthusiastically. Can't read.
I can. I was 7 once too.
So what brought you here? To Japan? I mean, not the canteen.
My mom is a diplomat.
Oh, really? My parents are engineers. They work for Kobayashi Corporation. Heard of it?
I have.
Catherine kept poking her fog into something that probably used to be a beef roast.
You are from the Soviet Union then?
Yes, ma'am. Nikolai Anakin, at your service.
Our countries don't have the best relationship. Why do you think ours will be any better?
She smiled fairly. Well, politics aren't my strong suit, but I don't think the common people should suffer because of the decisions of a bunch of idiots in power. I immediately realized it was correct to say in power. But Catherine didn't give me a chance to correct myself. Wait. I immediately realized it was correct to say in power. At power. Fuck. Okay.
That is a very shallow understanding of politics, Nikolai.
I did say it's not my strong suit.
So you advocate for world peace and friendship among all peoples?
That'd be better, wouldn't it?
I guess.
What about you then? And why are we even talking about politics? I laughed.
You started it.
No, I didn't. You said that our countries don't have the best relationship.
Well, let's say so. It was nice talking to you.
Catherine stood up, took her tray, and left. Not that I was going to stop her. This round had clearly been lost. Several more days passed, and I was heading for Catherine at the school gates to go home together. Yeah, right. Next I'd be offering to carry her backpack. I probably still hadn't realized at the time that my attempts to get close to her were transforming into some sort of competition between the two of us. Oh hey, going home? Me too.
What a coincidence.
The only result of my actions so far was the fact that she started to show more emotions. Most of which more or less fit under the definition of the word sarcasm. How are you taking the subway?
Yes, and for some reason I feel like so are you.
For your information, I could go on foot, but since we got ourselves this coincidence,
I don't mind at all. Don't get me wrong.
I would never, God forbid. For a while we walked in silence. I pretended to harbor a grudge against Catherine and she wasn't the one to start a conversation. So it seemed to me.
Your English is pretty good.
I read a lot.
What do you read?
Science fiction mostly. Sheckley, Clark, Simmerk, Heinlein.
I don't like science fiction.
Well, girls rarely do.
You know many?
A couple. Mitchell for one.
I see.
From that moment on, my presence no longer interested her. What books do you like?
Books? I can't really say. All kinds.
Besides science fiction, of course. My patience ran out. Listen, maybe you should stop acting like this.
How am I acting exactly?
Catherine even stopped. You know full well that I like you. Then why all this? You just said no right away. We wouldn't need to put on this act.
You like me?
That's when I grew embarrassed. Isn't that obvious?
Not to a girl. Didn't you say that you have a lot of experience with them?
I said nothing like that. And anyway.
So, you want to date me?
Look how happy she looks now. Ha ha ha. That's probably a bad thumbnail. Well, yeah, that's given.
Alright.
Alright, what? I asked, dumbfounded.
Let's date.
Just like that?
You did say that I could have said no right away. I chose to say yes.
Catherine gifted me with a genuine smile. Well, okay then. I almost asked, what should we do now?
By the way, we're here.
And indeed, the station showed up from behind the corner.
You must have a lot to think about, and since you don't live far from here, see you tomorrow then. Bye, friend.
Oh my god. Catherine is a weird one. Kind of fun. Catherine flashed an even cuter smile and left me standing in a complete stupor. That was easy. Hell, that was easy. Just wanted some attention, maybe. Today I know that this kind of behavior was at least somewhat normal for her. But at the same time, I was so shocked that I didn't even feel any particular joy. Maybe I'd feel something similar if a 100-kilogram piece, a 100-kilogram piece of concrete fell on the ground a meter away from me. It's nice that it didn't fall on my head, but the following days were each one better than the other. I grew closer with Catherine, and even though I didn't quite understand why she was like that, she became less arrogant. One day we were sitting in a park, embracing each other.
America doesn't have parks like this one.
Really? Seems like a pretty normal park to me.
No, not normal at all. It's beautiful, quiet, peaceful.
Well, at least there's something in Japan that you like. Catherine's laugh was barely audible. By the way, do you know that in Russia you'd be called Katya?
Katya? Sounds weird.
Look at her, utter surprisement. I am surprised. How could you call me something else in another country? Wouldn't they call her dad in... No, they wouldn't. I think it's really cute. I'd be calling you that from now on.
No way.
You don't like it?
You'd be called Nick in America.
You already called me Nick. She didn't respond, only sank deeper into my shoulder.
Well, we'll leave this place, right? Later when we finish school?
For America? I couldn't say the prospect made me too happy. It seemed that my psyche wouldn't withstand another big relocation.
For America or somewhere else?
For the USA?
I don't know.
We'd need to get married first.
Why is that?
Oh, look at that. She was blushing. They won't give me a visa otherwise.
Mom works at the embassy. We can come up with something.
Do you think she'd be happy that instead of going to college, her daughter...
Who said instead?
Katya asked with indignation. Well, we'd need to live on something.
You'll go to work then. You don't want to study anymore either way.
Sir, yes sir. He laughed again.
You really want to do all that with me?
The question surprised me and I looked at her, but Catherine lowered her head. Of course, wouldn't be here otherwise.
Here? This park? On Japan?
On this earth, Kiosk invites me to the Yamato crew all the time. Yamato? Yamato.
You have weird friends. And you're also weird.
My friends are totally normal. By the way, Himitsu wanted to meet you for a while now.
Your childhood friend? The half-Russian one?
Yeah, I've told you about her.
You must have way more in common with her.
Even if I thought about it, I couldn't say what interest Let me try again. Even if I thought about it, I couldn't say what interests I shared with Himitsu. Okay, it wasn't me. It was just a typo, I guess. What are you hinting at?
Nothing at all.
You probably stood up from the bench and stretched her hand out to me.
There's a special offer at the bar today. Buy 2 burgers for the price of 3 and get the third one for free.
Okay, so you pay more for 2 burgers, like 50% more per burger. And you just get the last one for free, which means that's not a fucking deal. It's like you buy 3 burgers and get 3 burgers. What the fuck? You're pulling my leg. I grabbed her hand and pulled her to me. Kind of funny. But yeah, it was probably just to get her go out and eat. With Catherine, meeting Himitsu was inevitable. And honestly, it was surprising that it didn't happen earlier. Yet another school day was coming to its end, and I was about to go home together with Catherine. To my place, this time. We'd been dating for several weeks at that point, and the initial strongest burst of passion was starting to wear off. Naturally, that didn't stop us from spending all our free time together. But that day, Himitsu met us at the gates of the school.
Nico-kun, hello.
He bowed way too low, and I hurried to introduce Catherine to her. So, this is Himitsu. Himitsu, this is Catherine.
Catherine-san.
He was about to bow again, but decided against it under my stern glare.
Come on, why the formalities?
Ready-chan?
Himitsu asked, unsure. Katya only smiled back in embarrassment.
Nico-kun, you never told me she was so tall.
Himitsu whispered to me. Never crossed my mind, to be honest.
Where do you study?
In middle school here, it's on the same grounds. I studied there too. She used to get sick a lot and went to school a year later than me.
Interesting.
Catherine frowned slightly. Yeah, she always wanted to be in the same class as me, but it never worked out.
I think Himitsu can speak for herself.
Katya suddenly interrupted me. Himitsu, meanwhile, was just standing nearby picking at the ground with the tip of her shoes. He looked even smaller now when compared to Catherine. Oh yeah, sorry. The awkwardness soured the meeting of the 2 most important girls in my life. How about we celebrate your acquaintance then?
Nico-kun.
Himitsu said, still in the whisper, but now with reproach.
Why? Why? That's actually a good idea. Don't you like it?
Catherine asked her.
Only if there won't be any alcohol.
Alcohol?
Alcohol. Does he usually?
Not at all. I waved my hands in denial.
Received and understood. Thanks for the information.
I didn't.
How much am I going to learn about you, boyfriend?
She asked in English. Why does she call him boyfriend? That's so weird. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Himitsu wasn't good at the language, and this time Catherine was actually trying to hide the meaning of her words from others. Okay, it happened once or twice. She just worried about me.
Worried? Huh?
Katya immediately shifted the gaze to Himitsu.
In any case, nice to meet you.
Me too.
While the 3 of us were walking home, I was scolding Himitsu. Why start with that again? Why say all that? Who asked?
But I didn't even say anything.
Himitsu was about to burst into tears. I should add that she used to be even more awkward around people. You have to think before you speak. Made me out to be an alcoholic or something. Anyway, I relented. Just don't do that anymore. That entire time, Catherine was watching us carefully, without a word. I was speaking quietly, and wasn't sure she heard what the conversation was about exactly.
You're quite close.
Naturally, we've known each other for so many years, she's like a stupid little sister to me.
Little sister, huh? Convenient. Want me to be the older one then? You can call me One-san. A threesome with two sisters at once. Now that'd be something, wouldn't it? Lucky man.
Oh my god, what is she saying? Oh my god, I need to drink some juice on this one. Holy shit. Ah, Catherine. What the fuck? What the shit? She finished off her snide remark with a juicy slap on my ass. Americans. Good thing Himitsu didn't notice anything at least. Truth be told, I like Catherine's peculiar sense of humor, but sometimes it crossed all possible lines, and not only by Japanese standards. But isn't that a good thing, I guess? I don't know. When we reached home, Himitsu made that stupid bow again and bid us farewell.
I think I'll go now. I don't want to be a bother.
Come on, you're not bothering us at all, right, Nick?
Yeah, of course. I thought I looked like an idiot, even though for a moment I enjoyed Katja's idea with the two sisters. But if you have something to do...
It has been a pleasure to meet you.
He addressed Catherine.
You've got an interesting friend. Not everyone could put up with someone like you for so many years.
Indeed, Catherine was right, even if she was yet to know to what extent. I suddenly returned to reality and looked around. The park was still just as quiet and autumn appropriately chilly. The clock and my stomach together reminded me that it was high time for lunch. I've just been skipping school, I guess. I was walking through the city, feeling detached from reality. Like Alice, stuck in a wonderland of memories, which by comparison made all the danger looming over me seem much less important. As if the best had already passed and nothing good awaited me in the future. But what sense was there in worrying? Hey there, Goliath. Come on in. Long time no see. Today the bartender seemed to be the embodiment of hospitality. I'm just here for lunch. But a moment. He was as eager to talk as always, but there were more visitors than usual, and he had to get back to work after bringing me my order. I was eating the ramen with gusto and noticed once again that all in all, it was no worse than a real Japanese ramen shop. Despite all the bartender's peculiarities, you couldn't deny that he knew his trade. He just had to remove that irritating bell over the door. Yeah, probably. Its sound didn't just annoy me, it seemed to make my nerves themselves strain and tighten like strings. Meanwhile, someone I never expected to see here entered the bar. It was Saya-chan, with her classmates. She looked around, choosing a table, noticed me, whispered something to her girlfriends, and headed towards me with clear determination. Thumbnail, maybe? What are you doing here? Oh fuck, what was her voice? Ah, she don't talk to her once.
That's what I should be asking you, Anakin.
No.
Me, that's what I should be asking you, Anakin.
She sat across from me quite unceremoniously and looked at me right in the eye. What about me? I just dropped by for lunch. This place has wonderful ramen, by the way. My recommendation. Her presence was making me uncomfortable, and I didn't even really know why. Her presence was... perhaps because of all the memories. Catherine was right about Himitsu at the time, and apparently I started to feel ashamed again. And Saya was only making things worse.
What do you want at school today?
Keeping an eye on me, I'm flattered.
Don't like
You're also out early, judging by the time.
our classes are already over for your interest.
Oh, I raised my eyebrows. Naturally, I wasn't interested at all.
Mitsu was worried about you one time.
Why'd you worry about me? Here I am.
And you consent.
Just call me Nick, I told you. For some reason, coming from her in particular, these formalities were especially sickening.
And you consent. You know what I'm talking about.
No, I don't. And even if I did, I don't think it's any of your business.
Having a better friend is very much in my business.
I couldn't object. In any case, you don't know all the details of our relationship.
I don't see what details can matter when the relationship's at one of the parties.
I bit my lip and turned away, not even trying to hide my irritation.
And now there's this other girl too.
What about her? I immediately looked back to Saya and gripped my teeth, but she remained calm.
Our time was quite timely. Now your life has no time left for Himitsu.
Now that is definitely none of your business.
But you're not denying it.
I'm not going to get into a pointless argument with you.
You don't need to argue with me. But think about Himitsu.
I do, okay? I do. I almost add it all the time. What do you even know? I let out a sigh and threw a greedy glance at the alcohol stand.
You were going at the perfect time.
Saya smirked. Turns out she was also quite attentive. Sure, I knew it in my head that there was a fair bit of truth to her words, but I just couldn't agree. If only for my own sake. Listening to you makes my ears bleed. A shot would make it at least bearable.
You're hopeless.
Maybe that's exactly why Himitsu likes me. Ever thought of that?
No, you know I would. You know it. And keep acting like it.
Relax, I'm joking.
There are things you can't joke about.
Shut up, Saya-chan. Excuse me for not being a prude.
For having much of a conscience.
Seriously, what do you want me to say?
Why do you act like that?
I'm going through a rough patch in my life, and so is Himitsu. We've known each other since childhood, you know. We have kind of a, how do I say it, connection between us. 10 years, that's no joke. Half a life's even more. Maybe you want, wait. Yeah, maybe you want the best for her. But it's not that simple.
What's so difficult about her life? You don't think... Don't you think you're the one making it difficult?
It's a relationship. Things happen.
Relationship?
She smirked.
That's an interesting choice of words that are concerned. Although, alright, I won't bother you.
Thank you. Now, get the fuck off. Wait. She stood up and headed to her girlfriend's. In reality, Saya hadn't said anything new, and there wasn't any reason to be upset with her. Mostly I was angry with myself. The girl had hit a sore spot. With great precision, I must say. Meanwhile, Himitsu's classmates weren't in a hurry to leave. Having finished their milk cocktails and ice cream, they kept sitting there, chatting about casual stuff. I was throwing rare annoyed glances at them, but Saya was making a point to ignore me. To be honest, I simply found it hard to get up and walk past them to the exit. That would seemingly mean acknowledging my defeat and fleeing the battlefield. It was silly, but I kept sitting there to the bitter end, having chewed through even the chopsticks. Finally, their merry band got up from the table and prepared to leave. Saya shot me a farewell look, screwing her face into a snide grimace. She had to be thinking she won. Just call you. Who was that? Bartender appeared next to me at once. If witch burning were still in fashion these days, I'd definitely be reported to the Inquisition. So that was just a friend of Himitsu's. Oh, I see. He said thoughtfully and sat down beside me. No, actually you don't. Maybe that's for the better. I paid my bill and left the bar. How does he get all his money? Oh, oh, oh. I was having a hard time getting my emotions in order after the reprimanding Saya had given me. Sometimes you understand you're wrong, can even accept your mistakes somewhere deep inside, but if someone points them out, you can't help but argue. Yeah, I guess that's right. I guess that's just a normal defensive reaction, isn't it? That most people have. I don't know. I don't work here. Yet another crazy day was coming to an end. I got caught in the rain while on my way back home and barged into the kitchen defeated. And immediately faced Himitsu's disapproving stare.
There's probably no point in asking where you've been, Nico-kun.
Probably not. I agreed, trying not to sound rude and walked past her. Gotta take a shower while I get sick. A hot dinner greeted me when I left the bathroom. After everything, I could only marvel at Himitsu's patience. Not everyone could put up with someone like you for that many years. Couldn't have said it better myself. Thumbnail? Sorry for disappearing today. I had to think.
Very well.
What's well about it?
Glad that you had time to think.
Yeah, well, okay. By the way, I met Saya-chan at the bar today.
Really?
Himitsu asked without much interest. I gotta say that she's weird. Yeah, weird. And she could do without prying into other people's business.
What does she pry into?
Well, you must know better than me. I don't know what she says about me, but...
Nico-kun, I'm capable of making my own decisions.
She said in a bored voice. Of course, I didn't mean anything like that. It's just... whatever. I'm not trying to say I have to like all of your friends. Wait, what? I'm not trying to say I have to like all of your friends.
That's nice.
We kept silent for a while.
So did all those thoughts bring you to any conclusions? What about Kadi-chan?
No, of course not. It felt like Himitsu would pretty much explode at any mention of Catherine. I mostly wanted to check if I'm being watched.
So are you?
Himitsu perked up. I don't know. Even if someone is watching, they're good at it. Indeed, the Soviet intelligence agents, as well as the other players, hadn't shown themselves in any way in the past 2 days. That wasn't much of a time frame to draw any broad conclusions, but it gave me at least some respite. Just to sink deeper into my personal drama. For whatever reason, I couldn't bring myself to call a love triangle a melodrama. Maybe tragedy was a better word for it.
So what do you think?
I think that so far we are managing not to attract too much attention, and there's a good chance it'll stay like that.
I really hope so.
So do I. I'm really sick of this uncertainty. Himitsu looked at me attentively, but said nothing. By the way, the dinner was very good. Thank you.
So, did you talk about me with Saya-chan?
Kind of. But you know her better than I, and you know everything she could tell me.
I guess. Nico-kun, she really isn't a bad person. She's just a bit harsh sometimes. But it's not out of malice.
Good intentions pave the road to hell, you know. Although, she'd be more the gatekeeper, meeting new arrivals. Himitsu laughed, but quickly caught herself and frowned.
Hey!
I'm serious, on the other hand. She could also get an offer for Charon's job. Would be much better than the original, anyway. She'd entertain her passengers with her grumbling along the way. Can you imagine Saya-chan in a robe? I pulled a towel over my head and made a face.
Nico-kun, stop it!
She kept laughing. I jumped up from the bed and ran to her and threw the towel over her face. You're doomed to endless suffering in hell for having overdone the tofu.
Nico-kun!
Himitsu kept desperately resisting and pushed me away. I lost my balance and fell to the floor, taking her with me. You damn mortal. You have the courage to oppose the will of Hades. For a while she struggled, and soon I ended up atop Himitsu, holding her hands firmly in mine. Now she looks flustered, isn't that? I think that's the word. Which would already be quite a precarious position to be in. But it was also But it was also exacerbated by the fact that Himitsu's face flushed and her hair scattered on the floor. We fell quite simultaneously, and she no longer laughed. In the descendant silence, only the sound of her heartbeats could be heard. The tension even halted the air in the lungs.
Nico-kun, I want...
Didn't play the fool and specify what exactly she wanted. I simply kept silent. Himitsu lay there unmoving still. Whatever happened now, he wouldn't take the initiative. But as bad luck would have it, I remembered Catherine again and that day in the park 2 years ago. I couldn't do this to Himitsu. First I had to sort out myself and my feelings towards each of them. I let go of her hand and fell to the floor next to her. Sorry.
What are you apologizing for?
She immediately happily responded.
I'd like to remind you that we got school tomorrow.
Okay. That's okay. Mitsu painfully pinched my side. Ouch! Still, I was grateful for her tactfulness. That was yet another thing to add to the others. I was grateful to her for. It's Warden. I grabbed the pillow. Now he's choking her to death. Exhausted, we were lying on the bed resting. It was 9 o'clock.
It's so late already.
Himitsu suddenly realized. Wouldn't say it's particularly late.
I still need to do homework for tomorrow. They gave us a lot and someone made me so nervous today that I had other things on my mind.
I wonder who that might have been.
Alright, I'm leaving.
She stuck her tongue out at me and left, flashing a goodbye smile. When I was left alone, I took a deep breath and immediately felt overwhelmed. Without a prelude or a preface. I could have. What am I doing? The sense of guilt was burning me from the inside. My broken heart joined the chorus, making my existence virtually unbearable. I seemed to be suffocating and burning at the same time, as if ending up in the real hell. It was absolutely impossible to remain in silence and solitude anymore. Fuck, I still don't remember her name. But it's from Everlasting Summer. It's the girl that I actually ended up with without trying, because I didn't know what to do and all that kind of stuff. I was trying to figure out which route I was trying to go, and then I just ended up in a random route that wasn't actually the one I went for, but it was a good route and I enjoyed it and I liked it and the game was amazing. I'm talking about the playthrough on my channel, right? And it was this girl. I don't think that has anything to do with my playthrough other than, but I just think like it's because we were at this rock bar, right? And she liked to play rock. She does look older here though, or maybe I'm just remembering wrong. Or maybe it's just because she doesn't have the Young Pioneers clothing on. That might actually be it. But what is she doing in Japan? And what was her name? That's the question. Hastily trudging through puddles, I reached the nightclub. My consciousness kicked in. I was sitting behind a table densely covered by beer mugs, shots, and rocks glasses, drowning in clouds of cigarette smoke. My thoughts were tumbling over each other, but my main goal had been achieved. I managed to calm down. Even if it was achieved this way by drinking myself to unconsciousness. Some band was playing on the stage, but I wasn't in any condition to listen properly. The rhythmic drum of the speakers was more than enough. Suddenly, an unfamiliar guy sat at the table and started to speak quietly. Quickly. Not quietly. Okay. Although, it was more like he was opening and closing his mouth like a fish in the water. What? I can't hear. I moved closer.
I'm saying it's nice to see a European here.
Oh wait, that's probably not. Where would he be from? Probably not Germany. Or maybe a British. But how do I make it? Or you're saying it's not to see a European here? I don't know. I just made some accent. Fuck you, he said in English. I didn't even notice right away, but he wasn't Japanese. Ah, yeah. Where are you from? I live nearby. No, I mean, from what country? What country? I don't think that's a European accent, but fuck that. Yes, I saw it, I replied after a pause. My perception of reality was significantly clouded by alcohol, but it still didn't count on Kobayashi Corporation and the KGB suddenly leaving me alone. Hang on. He said where he was from, but I couldn't hear and decided not to ask again. Ed. If he's Ed, he's from... probably from the UK then. A what? The guy stretched his arm out to me. Ed, what? My name's Ed. What yours? Nick. I shook his hand. You come here often? Sometimes. I guess he was slightly over 20, but all in all, Ed possessed an absolutely forgettable appearance. Were I to be interrogated the next day, I wouldn't be able to name any characteristics. No long hair, no big nose, no scars or birthmarks. You could say it was a very fitting appearance for a spy, or an intelligence officer depending on your perspective. I'm here on tour with my favorite band. He shouted the name so loudly that it even overpowered the buzzing of the guitars, but I still couldn't make it out. They're headlining today. Yeah, it seemed to be just a regular music train rather than spying. I downed the shot of whiskey courteously offered by Ed, then another one, and the guy quickly began to seem like a wonderful person. Listen, Ed. I was tripping over my tongue, but a drunk always understands another drunk. On the same page, so to say. You have someone, I mean a girl? You, my wife is waiting for me at home. Wife, so serious I see. And you? And me? I signed him down to half a glass of beer in one go. Hell knows what's going on in my life. I may even have two. Well, I mean, not two wives, two girls. I don't know who to choose. What ought your heart tell you? Heart? Is it ever that easy? That only works in books. Stupid books. That's okay, let's try a different approach. Well, that seems to be the lesser evil. What do you mean? I asked startled. It turned out to be less drunk than me after all. Well, which choice would make you lose less? Which would harm others less? Well, if you put it this way, Catherine can live without me for sure. She's been doing alright the last year and a half. But Himitsu, well, I wouldn't say she'd off herself, but who knows though. Is all that serious? He asked compassionately. No, it's just in the context of the discussion, you know. From what you've said, it seems like Himitsu is just dependent on you. Dependent? No way. We're not like... It's a term in psychology. You know, on the other hand, they are dependent on Catherine. You, on the other hand, are dependent on Catherine. Okay. I'm not dependent on anyone. I felt resentment growing inside of me. I'm just trying to help, bro. Calm down. You better get another round. What does your psychologist just ask to do in my case? I asked after giving him his words a bit of FUD. Getting rid of the dependency. By getting rid of the dependency, you mean the way they usually do in Hollywood films? Think I should shoot Catherine? I laughed loudly. But then Himitsu would have to shoot me. In reality, there was nothing funny about that, especially in my situation. Especially considering that I could actually catch a bullet at any moment. There are easier ways, for example, visiting a psychologist. Yeah, that sounds like a much better way. Psychologist? Are you serious? I'm going to tell him that Catherine's mother was involved in my parents' death and I'm haunted by the most powerful corporation in Japan, but I can't think about anything but love, simultaneously feeling guilty about my childhood friend who has also built up a dependency on me. No, I couldn't say that. It might be a good idea, though. Let's send me to the madhouse right off. I'd definitely be safe there. You're taking it too close to heart, making it free out of a molehill. No, I think you're shit-faced. His mistake entertained me a lot and distracted me from the dark thoughts. Well, I'm still doing better than you. I guess so. You are old, although. I'm trying to become a worthy alco marathoner. Not bad, but be careful that otherwise you might never reach the finish line. We all reach the finish line one way or another. Just the distance is different for everyone. Suddenly the crowd grew silent, and after some time, an intro from a famous song came out. Wait. from a famous song came out from the speakers.
Oh there, here they are. Let's go to the stage.
I didn't know his band, which made me even more surprised to see him at such a mediocre bar. The furious energy of the music and the roaring crowd soon washed over me and made me forget about my problems. When the performance was over, I sobered up a bit, but Ed approached me immediately with a couple of beer cans in his hands.
Here, try this. It's a brand one. We brought some with us.
I took a few gulps, and that was just enough. The concert hall started to blur before my eyes. You know it. You're a cool guy. Really cool. Pity there are no such guys here, you know. If you want, we can continue at my place, an after party, so to say.
I'd like to, but I still need to help the band load their equipment.
Then I'll help as well. I tried to stand up, but instead fell to the floor and immediately burst out laughing. Oops, I seem to be having trouble navigating. The next words that said to me seemed to sound from somewhere far away, like the yell of a captain of a ship passing by in the fog.
Sit here for a bit. I'll throw you home.
I will. Why not? I barely managed to climb on the chair and started to look for booze. And of course, I found it soon. Damn. Maybe it rocked me. He might have. Loading! The 17th of September, 1987. You know what? I think this is it for this episode. Boink. Nice. I want to say thanks for watching this video. Remember to like, subscribe to my other videos on the channel. Leave a comment telling me what you think. What should I do? Why should I do it? And how should I do it? And I'll see you all next time. Bye!